I have updated my Minuteman gear. I have retired the old Y harness and switched to a much newer piece of gear. Stand by to retire an old veteran and welcome the new recruit. Cue the intro. I've updated the Minuteman gear. And before we go forward, of course we need to define terms. Minuteman gear is just an umbrella phrase that everyone knows what I'm talking about. But actual Minutemen are, I'm not a Minuteman. Minutemen are a very special part of the militia. I'm general militia, but we just don't know what I'm talking about when I say Minuteman gear. So for those of you actual Minutemen out there, and there's not a lot of you, this isn't stolen honor. But this is the gear that I keep ready to go in case the balloon went up somewhere and I would need it to fill my basic function as a man in the general militia. If you remember the old setup, and you probably don't, well you might, I had a Y harness, an old Scott School Y harness. When I talked about it, I used to say it was a Vietnam era Y harness. I got some pushback on that. I got some people saying it was, some people saying it wasn't. I know when I was in the Marine Corps from 1995 to 1999, we had an H harness in boot camp. We used the H harness, and then we got out into the fleet, boot camp and ITB, whatever they called it. It wasn't called School of Infantry then, because that was for the non-infantry guys. I think we were just an infantry training battalion. I think it was an ITB. I think at ITB we had an H harness as well, and then when we got to the fleet, I got an LBV, a load-bearing vest, and that's what I used in my 4 years. I got recalled for a year after September 11th, and they didn't bother to give me anything because I was freeing a man to fight, and I didn't need any gear. It was a bad year. I don't like to talk about it. So we had a Y harness with the magazine pouches on the belt. It was an older setup. One of our friends, Sasquatch, thought that we needed an upgrade, so he got us a little gift. Thank you, Sasquatch. So now we've got an enhanced LBV. Now, excuse me. To try to avoid the confusion of the last time, I tried to look this up and see when it came about. And all I could find out is that the request, the government asking for it, came out in 2000. So had I actually been recalled to fight after September 11th, I might have got to use this particular vest. Instead, I was just freeing a man to fight. So I didn't. So I really like it. What's different from this and the LBV I used, there's a couple of things. This mesh, we didn't have mesh. It was a solid woodland camo print like the pouches. And the pouches were not at this angle. They were straight up and down. I really like this one. I like how this feels. I like how it fits. It's very comfortable. I'm sure it's probably a good deal on surplus right now. I don't know. So that's the big update. Of course, that takes those magazine pouches off your hips, which, you know what, I didn't mind the magazine pouches being there, but it is so much better with them not being there. We got the grenade pouches, which I don't know what to do with. We do have one little hiccup. We got a couple things we got to solve here. I have pretty much just taken the old moonbeam off my rig entirely. If you watch the old videos, I had a big old right-angled issued flashlight that I thought was really cool. It is really cool, but it's heavy and the batteries last about 2 minutes. So by the time you put new batteries in and flash do the little flash function to make sure it's still working, batteries are about dead. Thing doesn't do you liquor good. So I've just dropped it. It's not worth the wait. And I had a tomahawk holder that I just lost. I don't know where it's at. I was on the rig when I was taking off the Y harness. Somehow I've lost it. So I've got to find a new, replace the tomahawk holder somehow. So in the meantime, till I get that done, I'll be adding the knife back, because if you don't have the tomahawk, I'll need the knife. And I just found that out a minute ago when I was putting this on to show you guys, and I'm really embarrassed. We are going to put the tomahawks back at one of the tomahawks. When I updated the tomahawks, someone thought I was going to be carrying 2 tomahawks at once, and no, that's silly even for me. So we've got the big one and the little one. Sorry, it's cold and the handles are shrunk. And I will probably usually mostly have the little one on here, unless I know I'm going out, because this is the Minuteman gear. And the Minuteman gear is like this emergency response. You're going out right now. You're only taking the stuff for you for a day or two, maybe 3 days tops. That doesn't really call for that big heavy one. I would probably take the smaller one. It's called the Trailhawk. So that's my thought process right now, but I'd be able to swap the other one in. We still got the Ranger roll, 2 days of food in here, a small first aid kit, fire starter stuff. I do not have gloves, and I don't normally use gloves in my day-to-day work. My hands are pretty rough, but I think gloves probably belong on this too. So that's where we're at on the Minuteman gear setup. You know, the reason we talk about this is so that to encourage other men to think along these same lines of them being responsible and they're fulfilling their role as part of the general militia. So we'd love to hear what your setup is, what you use, what we should improve, and we appreciate you, man. Thank you.